So the budget category got some new phones today. Realme is a really big upcoming brand actually. They released the Realme 5 and the Realme 5 Pro. We're also going to get something called the Realme XT, which is that 64 megapixel camera phone. That will be coming at the end of September, but let's go on to the Realme 5 and the Realme 5 Pro. Both share a very similar design. There's some small differences in screen sizes. The Realme 5 comes with a 6.5 inch LCD display that isn't full HD, it's like HD basically, not full HD, which you get on most phones these days. So the PPI is going to be a little bit lower. It keeps the water drop notch, although Realme have said that is smaller than previous versions, so you get more screen real estate. The Pro model actually has a smaller screen, it's 6.3 inches. That is a full HD screen. That does keep an LCD screen, so both of the fingerprint sensors on both of these phones are on the back. We'll get onto the price in a second, because keeping an LCD screen in the Realme 5 Pro, I guess some people might be a little bit disappointed. The Realme X has an OLED screen, and the prices between the Realme 5 Pro and the Realme X are fairly similar. But I guess Realme went for an LCD display to spend money in different areas. Another area where the Realme 5 is actually bigger than the Realme 5 Pro is the battery. The Realme 5 gets a 5,000, that is really big, 5,000 milliamp hour battery. At this price segment, the battery is really important for a lot of people. They want to charge it and know for a fact they're getting at least a day or more worth of usage out of the phone. They'll definitely be getting it out of the Realme 5. The Realme 5 Pro's battery isn't small either. It's just over 4,000 milliamp hours. And the Realme 5 Pro features 20 watt fast charging, and you get that 20 watt fast charger in the box too. That's a really good thing. Both feature USB-C charging and a headphone jack. Again, good things. Glad that they're included. Realme have been teasing quad cameras all round for this lineup of smartphones. They weren't wrong. We have quad cameras on both the Realme 5 and the Realme 5 Pro, although they are slightly different. The Realme 5 has a 12 megapixel main sensor and 8 megapixel ultra wide, something they call a portrait camera, which is good marketing for what basically is a depth sensor. Having said that though, the portraits look really good out of that, and they have good edge detection. It looks like a decent setup. And then you have a macro lens too. The ultra wide is 8 megapixels. Both of the depth sensors, macro lens and the portrait lens, have 2 megapixel sensors. Then the Realme 5 Pro just ups the game a little bit. The main sensor there is the Sony IMX586 48 megapixel sensor. It's been in so many phones, that camera sensor. We know exactly the benefits and the drawbacks of that sensor. Now it's been out for a while, so you expect Realme to have played around with it. Oppo definitely have played around with it, because they've used that sensor in their flagship phones. So you should be getting a very decent sensor and good images all around out of this. Then they keep an 8 megapixel ultra wide on the Realme 5 Pro, that portrait, and also the macro lenses, which from what I can see are the same as the Realme 5. In any case, adding a quad camera setup to a budget phone is a really good thing. In fact, the Realme 5 Pro I would say is bordering on mid-range. It has a Snapdragon 712. That would be considered a mid-range processor, but the price is more like a budget price. The Realme 5 Pro uses that Snapdragon 712, UFS 2.1 storage. You get 4, 6 or 8 GB RAM options. Then the Realme 5 uses a new Snapdragon 665 processor. This is being tipped as an upgrade to the 660 processor, which has been used in a lot of phones. Realme is saying they are the first smartphone company to use this Snapdragon 665 in India at least. So how about the pricing on these? Realme launched them in India. They're going to be coming to China a little bit later, and then to other markets after that. The 3 GB version of the Realme 5 is 10,000 rupees. That's about 1,000 RMB. That's really a budget device. The lowest option of the Realme 5 Pro starts at 13,999. 1,400 RMB is the price of the Realme X, so you're getting the Realme 5 Pro for that. The Realme 5 Pro has a slightly upgraded chip, but it does have an LCD screen where the Realme X has an OLED screen. In any case, I think these two phones are really decent. They give you a lot of specs and a lot of stuff for your money. In the budget category, it's getting serious around this price range now. You can really find a lot of phones that give you a really good experience and you don't have to pay a lot of money. So the competition for these is going to be the Redmi devices that we found out are going to be released tomorrow. We have the Redmi Note 8 series, which is going to go head to head with this Realme series. Also today, Vivo actually just released images of the Vivo Nex. This is Vivo's quite expensive experimental phone where they put a lot of very high-end specs in a device. It's a little bit more expensive than their other phones. And this year it was teased to have one of the first waterfall type screens, giving you a better screen to body ratio and just a better screen all around. It's supposed to anyway, but if this really is the Vivo Nex, just look at those corners. It seems like there is a lot of dead space in those corners. If this is indeed the real device that we're going to be looking at, we've had the Galaxy Note 10 and Note 10 Plus released recently, where the screen really takes up the whole front of the device. The dead space in the corners is minimized. It's really, really small. So with that in mind, the Vivo Nex does seem to have quite a lot of black space in the corners. Considering Vivo are making a big thing about the screen, it's going to be a waterfall display, a new type of display. I wasn't expecting such big bezels around the corners and around the sides. We'll have to wait and see if we get some more images and what the real device is actually going to be like. And of course I reserve judgment until I get a real device in my hands and see how it looks and how it works. This Redmi TV also looks really good. This was released by Redmi today. Really thin bezels, a lovely display. We'll have to see it in person, but hopefully Redmi can give us a really good looking TV for a cheap price. We'll have to see how that price compares to the Honor Vision Smart TV. Anyway, that's it for now, but I'll see you in the next one.